Hey everyone, how are you doing today? This is Christian Karasevich, CEO and founder of Social Chefs. And I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Social Chatter. For those of you who are new to the show, basically what we do is we curate all the social media news for the week, pick 3 to 5 of the best topics, and then what we do is we also pull in 3 tools that we think can help you as a business owner get more out of your business, whether it's sales, increased productivity, and so forth. So I'm joined today by my co-host, Nick Rishwain, and let me bring him on here. Having a little bit of a technical difficulty there, but let me, I'm going to invite you as a guest, Nick. Let's see if this works. And that's the great thing about technology, by the way. Every single time you're doing something with technology, there's always something that is, could go wrong. But the great thing is just roll with it. That's really the advice I can give you. Roll with it. Sometimes things work how you want them to. Sometimes they don't. But here's the thing. Social media changes a lot. And so what we're looking to basically do is, just get as much out of it as you can in the present moment. And then if it doesn't work, try something different. So how you doing, Nick?
Doing well. How are you, Christian?
Pretty good, man. How was your trip to Tahoe?
It's great. It was excellent.
Awesome. I'm so glad you had a good trip and got hopefully some relaxation in.
I did. I got some great relaxation in. I'm actually using this opportunity right now to post my first. We've talked about my lack of interest in Instagram. Mm-hmm. So I'm posting a picture of the two of us here. I'm trying to figure out their editing structure and add it. Can I add text to this first image?
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah. So basically, you'll take the photo, and then after that, there's an option to add some text.
Okay.
Also, and so forth. And by the way, so for those of you on Instagram, what's your Instagram handle?
Nick J. Rishwain. I don't know that we're connected over there yet, but I'm sure that's something we will fix eventually.
And then I'm going to put a couple of other ones in there. So I've got a personal one, and then also have a Social Chefs one. So this is my personal Instagram, and my Social Chefs one is my professional one. So tell me how to smile.
You got it. You were already doing it.
Awesome.
I can't figure out the text thing now. This is the one thing about learning a new platform is sometimes it takes a few minutes to figure out I'm just posting it. Oh, write a caption. There it is. Got it.
And by the way, for those of you who do check out my Instagram account, I post a lot about food. Personally, I feel that food works extremely well when you're sharing it on Instagram. So
interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, food, and I guess also we do artwork, and I think I kind of do that because it's more the whole visual aspect. If I'm traveling somewhere, sometimes I'll post things on Instagram on that. But really, I mean, if you're a business and you're looking to get into Instagram, I mean, there's a lot you can really get out of it. Just think about all the different visual aspects, things you can share. So
yeah, I noticed their editing for photos looks great.
Oh, absolutely. It's really great. And they've actually come out with a lot of really new things. So you can have like business profiles for your business. You can put a contact button on and so forth. I've actually got some videos and whatnot coming out soon on that.
Cool.
But we'll talk more about Instagram later on.
But I figured I better start playing with it. I don't think it'll be valuable to our business, but don't know until you try.
So here's the thing. I would actually say you would be surprised at that. But let's talk. Let's get into some social media.
Let's go with the actual syllabus here.
And if you want to scratch anything from today, you're welcome to. But I'm going to start off with probably the big picture today, which is Facebook Messenger. So Messenger started out, as this tool where, it's basically just personal messages. It eventually came to Facebook pages and Facebook groups. And at one point, Facebook said, "Hey, we want to make this a separate app." And what was one of the biggest, what were people mostly vocal about? They were mostly vocal about the fact that Messenger did not, they didn't want to install a separate app for Messenger and then also have their Facebook app.
Right.
So today, though, this makes sense because what they're doing is with Messenger, it's totally expanded. Now you have instant video, so you can send videos through Messenger. You can do audio. You can make phone calls. Like you can do all sorts of things through this one application. Now, they've also started introducing chatbots, and then the other thing they're doing now is they're also giving you ways for people to be able to buy things as well through Messenger. And that's probably, I think,
which is cool.
Do what?
That's cool.
Yes. And that's probably that's one of the big things this week in social is, it's not just the fact that like, hey, Messenger now has, more ways for people to buy, but there's like, if you read this article, actually, more seamless, more ways to share, more ways to buy, more context, Messenger platform version 1.2. And I'm excited about this because I think, this is fantastic. If I'm an individual, I can get a lot of my information through Messenger without having to go look for this information. For instance, I might go get weather. I might, maybe I'll order some flowers, some personal things, right? But
right.
At the same time, from a business standpoint, this is fantastic because I can start to begin to accept payments once this gets completely rolled out through Messenger.
That's nice.
And I don't know about you. Have you ever tried setting up a shopping cart for a business?
I have not. I've not had to.
So I've been doing this for a while, and it can be a challenge to set up a shopping cart. There's a lot involved in it. A lot of times people will have, issues with the shopping cart, for instance, getting it like integrated properly. They'll have issues with getting their products added, and all that sort of stuff. And sorry, I'm trying to post this link for everybody, but there it goes. That's weird. Sorry.
I'm trying to find the spot where we had all the topics for today. Where did we have that at? Where did you? Because
I think I actually sent those to you via Messenger.
Did you send them via Messenger this time? Let me scroll up in Messenger. I know we had a long talk yesterday. There it is. Yep, got it. I must have missed it after we were chatting. Got them. Okay, I'm back on schedule here.
Cool. By the way, give me 1 second. I need to actually be right back. Give me 1 second, okay?
Yep.
You got the topics?
I do.
Awesome.
You want me to continue on?
Yeah, if you could put the Messenger one in there, put that in there. I'll be right back, okay?
You got it. Pull up the link here. Looks like we don't have any guests at the moment, which is good because I am behind the curveball today. And let me just.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
So what I want to say, what I was saying basically about Messenger is if I'm a business, were you able to get that link shared by?
I'm just working on it. I had to pull up. I'm on 2 different computers here, and I had to pull it up in this one, and I'm sharing it now.
Awesome. Well, so while you're doing that,
it's too long. The link's too long. Let me shorten it.
Here, I'll get a shortener. 1 second. So while I'm getting that, do you want to tell people about this whole Messenger update?
Yeah. So let me pull it up. More seamless, more ways to share, more ways to buy, more context. That's what they're calling Messenger platform V1.2. And less than six months ago, millions of people in over 200 countries have been engaging with their businesses on Messenger each day. Developers and businesses have built over 30,000 bots for Messenger. I have still not used the bots. In fact, I'd be interested when we're done here if you'll tell me one I should use as a prototype to play around with. They've onboarded over 34,000 developers and recently updated their platform policy. And they're claiming developers and businesses have the ability to have more user interface elements inside the threads that they have with their customers and users through the bots. Some interactions are better in conversational format. Some are better suited for a permanent thread like receipts, shipping notifications, etc. And some are better with a full-fledged user interface. And so that is they're kicking off, like you said before you stepped out for a second, more ways to buy. They're beginning messages with payments that'll allow businesses to sell products and services directly to customers in Messenger. Customers can check out with a few easy clicks without ever leaving the Messenger app. And as you mentioned when we first started, the biggest downfall of Messenger and why I stayed off of it for ever until kind of pretty recently was that it was like, all right, I don't need another Facebook app. Now I find that I use it quite frequently. So customers can check out with a few easy clicks. Merchants will be able to onboard with simple self-serve onboarding flow. Not sure what that means. It seems a little vague there. And developers, let's see, messages with payments as well as payments through the enhanced Messenger mobile web view. And I think you shared the mobile web view last week. Was that messenger.com? Is that what it was called?
Yeah. So if you go to actually messenger.com, you can get to Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Let me see. I think it was let me see. Yeah. So it's messenger.com.
Messenger.com.
So it'll basically take you to Messenger. You can log in and you can at that point start using Messenger.
Okay.
So super handy.
I think I covered just about they do have more ways to share. We've heard that people want easier ways to share the experiences they love in Messenger. So starting today, we're making it easier to share bots that they discover, which is cool because I'd like for you to share a bot with me that you think I should try out.
So let me get that one I'll get that one in a second.
Okay.
The one thing I want to highlight, I think there's two things actually I want to highlight about this whole bots piece. So the first thing is the frictionless part. So I spent 10 years working in e-commerce.
Yep.
Online shopping before online shopping was what it is today.
Okay.
And I have to say this. It's frustrating when people go to check out through websites. There's so many steps a lot of times. A lot of times people, they have to add something to the cart. And then it's like, okay, well, where's the shopping cart button go? How do they get to the shopping cart? A lot of times, if you're, for instance, a new business, you don't even have the shopping cart enabled, or you don't even have it built into your design.
Right.
So once somebody gets to that, then it's like, okay, well, how do they check out? And you want to make, you basically have to go through the whole process and see, okay, how many emails do they get? What error messages do they get? And so forth. It's a really complicated process. But with Messenger, I mean, this is one thing I really like. They're looking at making it frictionless. And having spent time in e-commerce, I mean, it has to be simple checkout for people. Almost like stupid simple checkout, like to the point where, people will spend money and buy something without really thinking twice about it. Because if your checkout process is really difficult, people are going to have those touch points where they get stuck and they're like, okay, well, do I want this item? Do I not want it? Oh, the checkout doesn't work. I'm out of here. But
almost the buyer's remorse before the checkout almost.
Exactly. And so one thing that I notice is, that this will make it like super easy. And this is where like having Apple Pay, even those kinds of things are also Samsung Pay. Those are all very useful because you can pay for something without having to get out a credit card in most cases, without having to without having to get a credit card out, without having to like enter even your address in most cases. A lot of that information is pulled from your account. So for instance, if you're checking on a mobile device, it pulls from, all the stuff that's typically already there. And Facebook would probably pull from all your, account information as well. So that's one thing I want to talk about. Now, the second thing though, that I think is really cool about this is Apple came out with iPhone 7 this week, iPhone 7, iPhone 7 Plus.
Yep.
But they also rolled out iOS 10. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because they have a messaging feature as well. It's mainly for text messages, but now they have integration within apps. So for example, let's say, you and I talked about this. Let's say it's Evernote, okay? If I want to use Evernote, let's say I want to share a note with Nick, okay? So what theoretically do, this is go back to Facebook, because this is showing how major companies are starting to adopt the access to anything, regardless of whatever app you're in mentality. So for instance, if I want to share something on Evernote, I don't have to launch the Evernote app. You have iOS 10, huh? I don't have it yet.
So here's the app button. Can you see that clearly?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's very clear.
That's in iMessage.
So what I was getting at is that with Evernote, for instance, if I wanted to share a note with Nick and I want to share it, for instance, by Apple Messenger or Apple Messages, all I have to do is go into iOS 10, like Nick just showed you, tap on the application. And at that point, if Evernote has built something, it's tied directly into my message. I don't have to go find it anywhere else. I suspect that more and more companies are going to start to do this. Now let's bring it back to Facebook Messenger. Same functionality. They're making it easy, for instance, for you to be able to buy stuff, for instance, right from Facebook Messenger. They're also making it easier for you, for instance, to get the news, the weather, all that sort of stuff. You're in Facebook. That's Apple, right?
That's iMessage still. I was trying to see if I pulled up Messenger in that. I'm trying to add to your description as you go here, but I think I'm failing.
No worries. So, so that's part of it. That's like part of the fact that like you can share information easily, but it also gets down to, as more and more of your apps build in the functionality. For instance, they build in Messenger functionality, or they build in, in this case, the Evernote functionality, to where it then ties into the platform, into Facebook Messenger in this case. If you have that information on your computer, you will then be able, or your device, you'll be able to then bring it into Messenger, for instance. And so, the point that I'm trying to make here is, Messenger is becoming not just a place for you to easily make a sale, but also a way for you to stay in touch with your customers. You don't have to, it's not like, hey, I missed your notification. Like everything is basically going to be able to be done through Messenger. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be really slick, I think, once this gets rolled out. And by the way, if you do check out that page, there's a great video from Facebook. They've got an example here from, what's this company called? I want to say it's, let me see.
Yeah, I'm playing it right now to see what the company's called.
I can't tell what company it is.
No, it looks like a apparel company of some sort.
And, that's the logical case with somebody using this. So here's what I would say as a business owner. I would say get your shopping cart on your personal website or on your business website set up. Once that is set up, and by the way, if you need help with that, you're welcome to reach out to me. But once you get that set up, I would also then be thinking, how, what's my rollout going to be? Do I want to be able to support Messenger? My answer is yes, you should support Messenger. So
that's right.
Just because honestly, we're scratching the surface on this. We haven't, I would say most businesses haven't even gotten anywhere near like, haven't even thought about using Facebook as a commerce platform.
Right. I think you're probably right in that assumption based on, we've got a family of small business people who are still behind the times on social media. Mm-hmm. I'm in a small web-based business and we have not instituted Messenger yet. So in my experience, surrounded by small businesses, I'd say the majority of people have not thought about it as a commerce, as a option for their business.
Not at all. I mean, and here's the thing, like a lot of the examples you see nowadays, they're people buying like physical products, like whether it's clothing, whether it's, flowers, but you also have ways, for instance, you can use it for like the news. You can also use, for instance, like there's one called Health Tap that will basically let you.
It isn't always easy to know what
Health Tap.
Stand financially.
Hold on one second.
Multiple accounts, investment.
There's also one called Health Tap that basically will let you, tap into like a health database, if you need that sort of stuff. So to answer your question, Nick, which was, hey, do you have any cool ones to recommend? Well, for starters, there's an Uber one. I don't know if you've checked that one out.
No, I have not.
So
how do I find it when I'm in Messenger? Maybe our audience doesn't know that.
I think it's Each one seems to have a URL. So let me see if I can get to this one. Okay, so this is the Uber one actually.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the Uber one. If you just go to newsroom.uber.com/messenger launch, this is back from December, but there is a video there. So that's one way that they're using a chatbot, for instance.
Okay.
So you basically just need Messenger. You start a conversation with Uber, and you tap the car icon.
Sorry, I copied and pasted that into our
No worries.
Messenger. I've got too many apps open right now. I needed a place where I could go back and download it when I'm actually in Messenger and check it out when I'm actually in the.
No worries. And, but it's simple. You basically you go to Messenger. You can tap on the little car icon that's there, and then you can tap the more menu if you need to, and then just select transportation. And then at that point, you can either sign up within Messenger, which is also really cool, or you can start taking your ride there.
Okay.
So I would say that's probably one for you that would probably be very useful. And aside from that, I mean, let me think if there's some other ones. Let's see. So there's the health one I talked about. There's one called Spring, which is actually pretty good for shopping. Let me see what other ones I had. Actually, another thing you can also do, there's one called Survey Bot. Actually, yeah, Survey Bot. Yep.
Interesting.
You take a Survey Bot generated link to Messenger bot, and then you can use that as well. So some pretty cool ones out there. I'll try to get together a full list on how on different options that are available, but
cool,
good stuff. So I'd say Messenger, if you've been hesitant to use it, time to start looking at it for sure.
Yep, I think that's a fair comment. I need to spend some time on it.
So topic number 2, and not directly going off the list we have here, but basically topic number 2 is Facebook is testing live video on the desktop.
Yes. And I just saw a post that somebody, are you a part of the live video marketing mastermind group?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So somebody just posted in there. Joel Com actually just posted in that group that somebody from the group is the first one who noticed it and got mentioned in Fast Company.
So I would say this: if you actually go back to that link, I want to say that actually came from a link that I shared first.
Oh, no kidding.
I think it actually came from somebody else who was talking about it. There are actually a couple of people.
Okay. So, I missed this one in that group earlier this week.
Yeah, no worries. And that's a good group. It's my buddy Jeff DeHaven. But yeah, so basically, what was it? I want to say it was I think it was Terry. Let's see, who was it?
Delilah Taylor.
Delilah Taylor was one person. Yeah, we have Delilah Taylor, and then I think it was another person named Terry. They'd also, I think, or maybe it was Terrence actually. They'd also shared because they were actually testing the live video feature as well.
I love it. I think this is great because for folks like the two of us who do live video from our offices or home offices or whatever, mm-hmm. who want that desktop feature because it's bigger, it's better, and we don't do it on the move. We've got Wi-Fi or hardline, our hard connections mm-hmm. here. I think it's better. And for those of us who are broadcasters, the desktop option is superior. I think in all of my live video experiences, they have been superior.
Absolutely, and so I'm excited about this. I really am. I think it needs to be easy for people to be able to use Messenger, to use live video. I'm sorry, stuck on the Facebook topics, but it needs to be easier for people to use live video. I mean, it's very useful from a mobile device, but at the same time, for instance, if I'm on a desktop, I have a different mic. I have a different webcam. I've got different different tools that can really help improve the quality of my video. Not to say the phones are, not good for that, but running this little, hiccups every so often.
Yeah, the phone it's limited. The desktop is just the visibility I get of just the two of us in what I'm watching off of my MacBook Pro right now is superior to what I would see if I was watching us from a mobile platform.
So I'd say definitely worth checking out. And like I said, I've talked about this. Facebook has not announced that one yet, but it is cool to at least see they're testing it. This way you don't have to use a third-party tool as well, because that was another thing. A lot of people were using a third-party tool, and a lot of the third-party tools were very what's the word? A lot of them would take a lot of bandwidth, and then over time it would actually get worse. So
yeah, I think this is going in the right direction here.
Okay. Yep, absolutely. So that's let's see, that's topic 2 for today. Topic 3, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so topic 3, Twitter is adding an alerts, and
this one I've tested.
This is actually pretty slick.
Yeah.
Very, very, very easy to do. There's actually a link to the video for those of you watching. If you're watching during the show, you can see this. If you're watching this during the show and you have questions, put them in the chat box. Otherwise, if you're watching this on, say, YouTube or the blog, put those questions in the comments and I'll work to answer them. But basically what's happening is Twitter is now adding a notification feature to where, you can basically choose to get notified, and I'll describe it like this. Initially it was, hey, you can get notified when somebody goes on live video. However, if you actually look at the video that's there and you look at some of the settings when you go into the Twitter mobile app, you'll see that you actually have other controls besides just getting notified when somebody is now using Twitter live video.
Right. So this is what it looks like. Can you point it out while I have it up here? Are you able to see?
I can see, yeah. So what we basically have here is you have a follow button. There's a notification button. And then what's the other one?
That's the one to send you a direct message or to tweet to you. So when I turn
tap on
the middle one on, it's going to bring up. No, when I turn the middle one on, then it's able to I'm able to get notified when CK Rocks or Christian actually goes live, or I can get notified for all tweets or none, which is checked right now. But I just check marked Twitter live video. You can now, I want to know when you go live, and you can see that the little bell has a check mark. I have 2 blue check marks next to you now. So if you go live on Periscope, I will get, I don't know that I follow you on Periscope, but if I don't, I will get the notification through Twitter. If I do follow you on Periscope, I will get actually 2 notifications as long as my notifications are on for both apps.
Yes.
I will get a notification from Periscope and from Twitter telling me that you've gone live.
Absolutely. And, and I'd say this, this reminds me of the feature on Facebook pages. So when somebody goes to Facebook pages and they like a page, if you hover over the like button, there's a feature where, you can choose to get notified or you can choose not to get notified.
That's right. That's
a lot of people, when this was initially happening, a lot of people would say, hey, they would post something for a business and say, hey, make sure, in addition to liking my page, make sure you go on and also, hover over the like button and turn on notifications. And this is the same thing. You can get notified in this case for, on Facebook for all post events or live videos, or turn them all off. This same functionality now comes to Twitter, which is pretty useful, I think.
I agree. I think this is going in a direction, Christian, where I think it's going into a full integration of Periscope to Twitter and having it just be Twitter live video. I don't think it's there yet because I'm sure that takes some time, but it feels to me, because I noticed it when one of our colleagues or friends, Brian Fanzo, went live earlier today. I got the Periscope one and I got the Twitter one, so it's duplicative at this point. I think what we're going to see is you're not going to need the separate. They've already integrated where you can go live on Periscope directly from the Twitter app, and I think that's where it's going. Not going to need the two different apps for this. Not any time, maybe not immediate, but I think that's where it's going.
I definitely agree with you on that. I'm not sure as far as like if they're going to have separate apps or what they're going to do, but it's going to be pretty cool. I think I would say this, they're basically taking a page out of Facebook's playbook, and they're taking, nothing wrong with that. Hey, Facebook has notifications. Twitter should have notifications too.
Absolutely.
This is very useful. If you're following people, make sure you have that stuff turned on. That way, if it's somebody you really want to check out, make sure you've got the notification on. Don't turn it on for everybody. So that's topic 3, I think, right? Yeah.
That was 3.
Topic 4. This one's good for you. It's a Snapchat pushing further into digital ad targeting.
Yeah. Now this one seems similar to one that we covered a couple of weeks ago. When we dealt with the behavioral. Do you remember that topic when we talked about Snapchat behavioral and sentimental analysis, I think? Now they're pushing further into sophisticated digital ad targeting, including letting advertisers target customers using email databases and other sources. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I read this as it'll be anonymously, so through a product called Snap Audience Match. Snapchat is enabling marketers to take existing lists of email addresses and mobile device IDs and anonymously match that data with Snapchat's own pool of consumer data, allowing enhanced ad targeting. So if Dunkin' Donuts has your email address for coupons or deals, anything like that, and Snapchat will allow them then, I guess, access to their email database. They can combine those two, and then they can target advertisements in between stories for you on Snapchat. That's how I'm envisioning this is going to take place. So they won't know that it's you, Christian Karasevich, but they will know based on email that the ad should be placed in your ads in between stories.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm actually I like this. I like this. I like the fact that Snapchat is really pushing into all of this. I mean, they're really they're taking on some of the characteristics of Facebook, but this is again, it's a good thing that they're doing this because it's going to give users more of an option when they're building their brand, when they're building their business. To figure out, whether they need to go on Snapchat, for instance, to figure out, is my audience on Facebook instead?
Yep. And I think that there's nothing wrong with this from a marketing professional's perspective. I think there is nothing wrong with this. The ads that I seem to be getting in between Snapchat stories don't seem to have much value or much pertinence to my life right now. I watch a few of them in order to see what some of the bigger brands are doing, but there's not a heck of a lot of value. It's not particularly targeted. If they started posting Rogaine ads to mine, then that, given my head, that might be more targeted. I'm not a user, but that would at least seem more targeted rather than a Mountain Dew or a Pepsi ad.
So this is actually one of the cool things about, just like, let's kind of put this into perspective real quick about why would, for instance, why would Snapchat be doing something like this? The bigger piece of this, I think, is Snapchat would be doing this because people, like, they have a choice of which social network they're going to use. And here's the thing. They have to offer this, they have to offer a similar feature because, one, this is going to help them grow. A lot of people right now are, there's so many networks to choose from. They don't know which one to go with. And so as a result, Snapchat, this is just another play. They have to do something like this to keep themselves relevant. Not to say they're going away, because they're not, but
and to bring in ad dollars. They need to bring in revenue.
Well, and then they also have to become a destination that people want to go to.
Right.
You get a perfect example of the fact that, like, if you go there and you're not seeing, for instance, the content you want to see, what are you going to do? You're going to probably end up leaving and saying, hey, you know what? This place is not for me because, my audience isn't here, or the information I'm seeing is not here. And in this case, this is going to be very useful because, they need to do it to, one, stay on top of things, but two, they need to also, like, continue to branch out and make their platform a destination.
That's right.
So,
and to continue, there was also earlier talk this week about, or late last week, about the potential for a Snapchat IPO. Now it gets batted around every once in a while, but in order for them to be a growing business, they have to monetize, and an advertiser only wants to spend dollars where they know that it's going to have a good impact for them. So if the Rogaine folks can find the bald guys or balding guys, that's who they want to target. That's where it comes down to for me. If I'm an extreme sports person, another aspect of this is what another new initiative in this article is what they're calling the Snapchat lifestyle categories, which lets brands direct ads to people who consume not specifical. I don't know where that came from. I'm making up words again today. Lets brands direct ads for people who like sports, extreme sports, gaming content, that type of stuff. I'm not big on either of those, but if they have something for hiking or something that which might fall into that lifestyle brand, hiking, biking, maybe mountain. I just got back from Tahoe, so if they've got some activities that are happening in the Tahoe area, not far from me, might be interested. If I'm seeing ads for that, then Heavenly is a big resort up in Tahoe. If they're having ads for that, and that's showing up in between my stories, now I'm paying attention. Right now I'm getting Pepsi ads, and I don't drink Pepsi. So good play financially. Good play for them financially.
Absolutely. I think this is a perfect play for them. I'm trying to think, like, what was it? What was the tool I was using? I was using something, but I was also getting it's very similar to what you were saying. You were getting Pepsi ads. I was getting the same thing with some other, tools that I was using. And I really questioned at that point. I was like, is this valuable for me? Because I'm not getting the information I want. There's so much information out there. You need to give me the best experience possible. Otherwise, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Right. That's absolutely right. And they have to temper that with what Casa Chiese or Nazim is saying over in the side. They have to temper that with, these ads can't be so intrusive as to interfere with the user experience, because then the users are going to leave.
Absolutely. So good. Good news from Snapchat at this point.
Agreed.
Okay, so let's see. So let's do topic 5 real quick.
Yeah. Is this the link? Do you have this one as the LinkedIn
one? Yes.
Okay. Make sure we're on the same.
Not a whole lot to this right now, but LinkedIn, topic 5, LinkedIn has announced native conversion tracking.
Tell me how this one works, because I just have that Twitter link, and that goes to
So if you go there, actually, there were quite a few things. I'll be honest, there were a few things floating around about this, but I want to get you to the actual LinkedIn announcement. So basically, they're announcing native conversion tracking for LinkedIn, sponsored content, and text ads. The benefit here, and this is actually really big in my opinion, is that anyone who has used any sort of advertising on LinkedIn knows that they don't always give you the best data or the best stats. In most cases, it's really hard to get any information about
Interesting.
campaigns. Okay. And so now when you have conversion tracking, you'll be able to, it's built into LinkedIn Campaign Manager, and you can measure your leads, signups, content downloads, purchases, and other results from your sponsored content and your text ad campaigns. That's really the gist of it. If you actually go to the bottom of the article, they talk a little more about the fact that you can track the metrics that matter, that are most important to you. You can record the conversion, and you can optimize them once you know exactly how the campaign went or how it's going, to further improve it.
Good.
That's pretty much it.
It's been a long time since I've used LinkedIn ad campaign, mostly because I don't think we noticed any massive, any significant impact from the ones that we've done in the past. So this may be telling us a lot more information, and may be worth spending a few dollars on again.
So, and if you go to, let me get that one for everybody. And, it's pretty straightforward. If you basically want to use this, all you have to do is, one, you got to figure out, hey, is this where my audience is at? And then, if you're ready to use the conversion tracking feature, just log into LinkedIn's Campaign Manager, which I give you guys a link to that here. Once you're there, just go to the conversion tracking at the top right of the screen, and that'll help you get started. So that's it.
Excellent.
Super, super, super useful. Not much else I want to say on LinkedIn conversion tracking, except that, it's something that you want to definitely, if you use LinkedIn ads.
This is important for a business like ours that addresses almost specifically professional services.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that we've been transitioning the show a little bit to be more about, last week we talked about media sonar. I think, last week. And then this week, we're talking about LinkedIn Campaign Manager, all things that are going to help certain types of businesses. Not going to help everyone, but certain.
Not going to help everyone. That's the thing with social, though, right? Some platforms are better than others for certain people, for certain businesses. That's why you got to kind of know a little bit about all of them. You are far more knowledgeable about Facebook than I think I'll ever be, and I'm okay with that. But you've probably serviced a great many of people who have had needs for Facebook campaigns.
Absolutely. And likewise, you have, I think a much more knowledgeable background on like Snapchat, for instance, because they haven't, you can't be everywhere.
You can't be everywhere. You've got the Instagram and Facebook down. I know things, I know a little bit more about the Periscope, Twitter, Snapchat field. And that's just how it is. You cannot be everywhere.
And it's one of those things you just kind of have to pick your battles. So, for example, I haven't quite ventured into Snapchat as much. I know how to, I'm very good at using it, but I haven't really ventured into it as much because for me, video is important, and Snapchat is, it's there for that, but I need to, find the audience. So, speaking of,
that's right. Let's hear it.
Do it.
Go for it. Are you going? I thought you were going on to the next topic.
Well, I kind of want to say, we were talking about how there's so many social networks out there, right? There's a new one every single day, or there's a change happening.
That's right. Well,
YouTube is finally making a change. They're actually coming out with YouTube Community, and it's on your YouTube channel.
You froze up on me there for a second.
Do what?
You froze up on me for a second. I don't know if did anybody else experience that? You may have to start that topic over.
So what I was saying was there are lots of social networks. There's a new one every single a couple months, or there is a new adjustment made to a network. So YouTube,
absolutely.
Everybody does YouTube for videos, but they're actually creating YouTube Community. It's basically essentially a social network. What they're doing.
That's right.
And so they're going to have things, capabilities like, so it says, you could do things like texting, live video, images, animated GIFs, and more. And this is actually pretty, I'll say this is pretty slick, because if I am going to, let's say I'm going to Facebook, for instance. I go to Facebook and I have Facebook live video. I have, I can post animated GIFs, I can post I have all these options through their tools. I could post a photo, I could post a video, I could post a text update. If I go to Twitter, what are we seeing? Same type thing. I used to just tweet about, text links, but now you can do images, animated videos, all that sort of stuff. Cards, absolutely. You can get email addresses through a tweet in some cases. There's the bonus content piece, which I still think is really awesome.
I really want to play with that somehow, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it because I don't know that we're putting that up. But I don't know. Maybe we'll have to collaborate.
Yeah. I'm actually fine. We could test that. But so let's put YouTube into this, okay? So YouTube has been around for a long time. They're finally coming out with a social network piece called YouTube Community, where you can basically have conversations. But what's great about this is people already have a very engaged built-in YouTube audience. Because, for instance, I have, on my YouTube channels, I have like 5,000, 6,000 plus subscribers.
Oh, wow. I have to go over there and follow you.
Here's the thing. All those people right now, when I post videos, they're getting those notifications in most cases. But it's the same concept. If, for instance, if now I have this community feature, I now have a very engaged audience already watching my videos who I can actually engage directly with. So I see this being extremely useful for people with huge audiences.
I think that, and a really great way, they have to engage. Engagement's what it's come down to. So we all have to engage and make those audiences, make your audience feel special, right? Absolutely. Or that at least you're communicating with them. That's what they want to know.
And it's going to, and like I said, it's going to appear on your YouTube channel. It's under a community tab. I can actually load the YouTube app right now. My phone's still.
My understanding is that it is on mobile only right now, though, because I tried it on desktop and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I don't have it on mine either. But I would say that this is going to be a really awesome feature. It's also going to keep me, for instance, glued to my mobile device. Now, do I watch a lot of YouTube videos on my mobile device? Every so often, but I still think one of the big hurdles with that is it's all about data. There's not enough data available. Sorry, not enough. You don't have enough data, in your package. Most of the time, what they're doing is, you're getting a 2 gig limit or a 3 gig limit with your mobile provider. So that's an unfortunate side to all of this is that, these platforms are coming out with some awesome stuff, but they're really being restricted by the data cap.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Are you getting feedback from me?
I'm not getting any, no.
Okay, I'm getting it. I think it's a great point. And a Snapchat will take up a heck of a lot of your data, and some people are going over on their data. So YouTube, any video takes up a ton of data. So if you're not on Wi-Fi, Facebook was trying to solve a problem with their Facebook satellite where they were going to satellite stream data into all sorts of third world countries. I think mostly in the continent of Africa to bring more people online. I have a feeling we will see cures for our wireless data problems come from some of these tech companies because they'll want us on their platforms.
Well, and I'm going to say one thing, and I'm going to be right back. But so the other thing, and this is the thing, so you've got people buying devices like iPhone 7 came out this week, right? All these awesome. It's got some really great features. I'm really excited to try iOS 10 on the new device. And by the way, Nazim, I'll get to your question in a second. But all of these devices, like you have, Apple's coming out with their own device, Samsung's coming out with their device. They all take data. Netflix is pushing a service. Netflix is saying, hey, we want to make streaming easier. We want to be the, everything's moving towards like mobile, or it's moving away from all these big content conglomerates, basically.
It's moving to streaming.
It's interesting because you have all these devices, they're pushing things forward, but then at the same time, it's like you have these other companies that are like, hey, we want to really hold the data. We want to, we really don't want to let you have, run of the mill basically to give you what you need to be able to have an enjoyable experience. So it's a tug of war game here. So, so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes, but I think I think some of these streaming services, the Netflixes, the Facebooks, the Twitters, will Amazon are going to try and come around the data provider.
And I completely agree with that. I think that is actually one of the biggest hindrances to all of this, and I like, for instance, that Facebook is actually, that they're pushing, like trying to get things like, for instance, we talked about this last week. They're trying to get people being more, creating, like, for instance, we talked last week about Facebook ads and potentially getting penalized as an advertiser if your site loads really slow. So that was one thing. We have Facebook Instant Articles. So, Facebook's also trying to put their, like, what was that, like the little stealth, I forgot what it's called. They're basically trying to put their, their little satellite up as well, like the little small one.
I forget what it was called, but it was on the SpaceX rocket that blew up. I forget what the satellite was called. And
it basically was trying to get to the point where people who were in whatever country, it didn't matter, that you could get access and still be able to communicate with people.
Correct.
So I agree with you. I think Apple's going to do this. I think, Apple's going to be next. Facebook's going to be next. They're all going to be really pushing, I think, back against those other companies.
Against the Comcasts and Verizons and so forth.
So I'm gonna let you answer Nazim's question here, but I'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So Nazim asks, do you guys think the YouTube Live Connect bit into the Facebook live streams, or are they diverse user bases? Now, remind me, Nazim, is the YouTube Live Connect, is that the gaming only? Is that the gaming only section, YouTube Live Connect? I have not played with YouTube Live Connect at this point. Or is that their mobile live streaming connection? I think, my personal opinion, I will it bite into the one will be available by the end of the year, mobile app version. Okay. I don't know if it'll bite into it. I think with my own experience, and Nazim, you've been on the live streaming probably as long as I have, if not longer, because I know you were a blab, regular blabber with us. And my feeling is the issues that Facebook Live is having has to do with it's not particularly steady right now. If I go and I do a Facebook Live stream, the comments are really slow. So I don't know what type of impact YouTube Live Connect will have. I think right now Facebook's lag issues or the latency issues seems to be its biggest problem. And if YouTube Live Connect comes out and is better than that, I think it'll be great. And I think those YouTube creators, if it is really well done, I think YouTube creators will stick with YouTube. So I don't know if it'll be a diverse user base or not. But I think YouTube creators, except for those who were recently harmed by YouTube's decision to remove ads from offensive content, I think many others will stick around and stay on YouTube. I would prefer to go to YouTube than Facebook, but that's a personal. I don't have the love of Facebook that others do.
So,
but they are an 800-pound gorilla in live streaming at this point. And when they fix that lag thing, I think and a multi-user thing, then they may just dominate altogether.
So I want to answer Nazim's question as well. Still there?
Yep.
Okay. So do we think that YouTube Live Connect will bite into Facebook live streams? I think this kind of goes back to like what we've been talking about earlier, which is every single platform is going to be, unique in a way to the audience, that you're catering to. If I already have a YouTube channel, for instance, and some people they have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, they have a built-in audience. Guess what? They've had that audience for a long time. And I don't see that audience necessarily going, for instance, over to Facebook and saying, hey, I'm not going to follow your YouTube channel anymore.
Right.
I think that if you're a business and you want to get something out of both of them, I think you're going to need to look at your content and come up with a plan of how you're going to use the two together. I was actually on Video Success, or we have a Video Success Summit. You might have seen me mention this on Twitter, but basically, so we have Video Success Summit. I'm going to put that here in the chat window for everybody. But and there's a reason why I'm putting this in there, and I think they got a free ticket for it right now. But basically, if you go there, what I wanted to get at was that I talk about repurposing content, and I talk about it, from the perspective of like, how would somebody go about, what are some, for instance, do they have to like reinvent the wheel and create like zillions of pieces of content, right? And the answer is no, you do not. And I actually give you a lot of really good examples in the Video Success Summit, on that, because, and I kind of see the same thing happening with YouTube Live and Facebook Live. I think at some point you're going to probably have somebody come out with a tool that says, hey, we're going to let you stream to all these different places. But YouTube can already do that, for instance. YouTube has a whole like encoding thing, but usually it's only available to people that work for really large companies, because you have to have a lot of hardware for that sort of stuff to make it work right.
That's right.
Yes, like you could put you could get multiple phones and like do your, live streaming one here and here and here. But the problem with that is your Wi-Fi network, for instance, your mobile device, they're not going to be able to keep up with all of that. And so I don't really, I think at some point, like they'll probably cut a little bit into one another, but I don't think it's going to be huge, because people already have a YouTube audience. It's not going anywhere.
That's right. You go where your audience is, and I think that's gonna be the end game. And Nazim, I don't know if you know Nazim from he was a blabber way back in the day. He from way back in the day, last year, right?
Funny,
yeah. Yeah. Nazim is a good guy. He was just on Ross Brand's show today. I guess I missed it.
Cool.
But he's plenty knowledgeable about these. He knows, he's keeping up to date on everything that's happening in live video. That I know. So it's a great question. Most people don't know what YouTube Live Connect. I don't even remember what the Connect portion was, and Facebook Live are still these days. So he knows what's happening in the live video area.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I mean, honestly, I think that they're both going to be really good platforms. I mean, people have been waiting for a long time for YouTube. I think, like YouTube, like Twitter, we're starting to see some of the pieces kind of start to fall into place with them. It may not seem like they're that much different than what Facebook has implemented, but you've got to remember, I mean, some of these companies have been around for a long time, and, Facebook's going to have the lion's share, but it's not going to like totally kill off a platform, I don't think. So
yeah. So we're running a little over here today. Should we get on to the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Topic 7, just a quick note for everybody. Topic 7, Instagram has finally come out with comment filtering. And I personally, I mean, I know you haven't used Instagram that much, right? But very similar to Facebook. Facebook has a comment moderation tool for Facebook pages. With Instagram now, same type of thing. You log into your Instagram account, you click on tap on your profile icon. There's a section called comments, and now you have a section where you can hide inappropriate comments. And now there's a trick to this though. So it's not just saying, hey, hide inappropriate comments, but you can choose to hide comments that contain words or phrases often reported as inappropriate. So that's part of it. But there's also a custom keyword section as well.
Right.
Custom keyword section lets you put in like certain keywords separated by a comma. Basically, you put together the same type of thing you put together on Facebook.
Yeah, that is interesting. And Nazim says it. It's funny how all these companies steal from each other's playbooks. And this goes back to my macro look at these things, is that they're all fighting for a limited number of eyeballs.
Absolutely. And who's going to be the one that ends up kind of sort of losing in this? It's basically we talk a lot about this, by the way, about taking from someone else's playbook. But the consumer is going to be the one that ends up losing out, because there's just so much. Each one's doing something a little different. So you just got to.
But
with this, here's the thing. The bottom line is, if I'm a business and I've got Instagram comments, for instance, and this probably will not affect most businesses right now. But if I do not have a big audience, and I'm not really getting comments that are inappropriate, I just need to know how this works. I don't really need to mess with it yet, but
yeah.
I would say just know that there's two options. One is you can turn your comments, you can hide inappropriate comments, but then you can also customize your list by adding specific keywords. That's it.
Okay. Good to know.
And by the way, what you also would end up doing is, if you take that list of keywords and you put a huge list of standard words too, what will probably happen is it will essentially disable your Instagram comments. So keep that in mind. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
In a positive way. The comment feature will still be there, but the more keywords you put in, it will automatically hide it.
Right.
Using, for instance, common phrases and that type of thing, and of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Good advice.
Cool. So that's topic 7. And then one last topic we just wanted to mention, and this is just because, and I'm gonna let you intro this one, Nick.
Yeah, this was just kind of a cool news item. Canva, which many of us use, some more than others, but it is a phenomenal platform for social media marketers. And others who are just even businesses, because you can do a lot of stuff on Canva for free. They've got the templates already laid out for you, for the Facebook header and the Twitter header, and for the YouTube header, tons of stuff that really makes your life a lot easier if you are trying to build up your social media. And they just raised $15 million in funding, and now it's the video on that article is going to play now and be loud, but that raises Canva currently to about a $345 million valuation, based on whatever valuation technique they're using right now. But 15 million in more funding. I think they were valued at about $155 million last year.
And so just a quick mention. So what's great about Canva, and I like their tool, is that, as Nick said, you can use it for creating images for your social media channels, for your blog posts, for a nice cover photo. They have all the templates built in. It's free, but then there's some paid options. They also have Canva at Work as well, and that also lets you get into doing some branding, which is really cool. So you can do Canva at Work, and Canva at Work will let you, if you have multiple people on your team working, you can put your colors, your logo, all that kind of stuff, so that everything is consistent with what you're creating. But this is really good that they're doing this, that they're getting this funding, because a lot of people, they've struggled with, when you wanted to create any sort of graphic design work, you had to have Photoshop or Illustrator, and they weren't easy to use.
We used Fireworks at the office, and it's just awful, and I think my actual experts.com VP Twitter header still has the old Fireworks created header in there, and you can see that it's just not perfectly balanced. It doesn't fit the Twitter header, and Canva cleans that up right away. I just haven't done it because it's actually kind of a good point as to why you should use Canva.
And it's funny, we're all really nostalgic with Fireworks.
Yeah, well, we just happen to have it here on the desktop at the office. Seems to be the one that we use, but it's awful. It's just awful to use. Now, of course, I'm working on the MacBook, so I have better options. But Canva's the best option in my experience.
Absolutely. You know, the one last thing I just want to say about this is, and you and I've talked a lot about this, but a lot of times when you use a lot of these tools, they start to look the same, right? And
Yep.
I would say this: majority of my YouTube video thumbnails, for instance, on one of my YouTube channels, those were created in Canva. But what I did was I tried to add my own branding to it, whether it was dropping my logo in, putting in my URL to my blog, my website, trying to create a style that is fairly unique to myself.
Right.
Like, yeah, you know, like I could go pick out like, you know, the graphic that like you've seen hundreds of times, but personally, I don't really use stock. I try not to use stock photography in my in certain graphics. Like for instance, in a YouTube thumbnail, I try to use a little bit of Canva, but then have a little bit of personalization to it to make it stand out. And by the way, another tool you could also check out is, as Nazim mentioned, he said Adobe Spark. There's Adobe Spark. There's Adobe, I think it's called Adobe Video now. Or sorry, basically they've taken the whole like Adobe Spark product and broken it up into lots of different options for videos and image. There's Adobe Spark, Adobe Spark Page, Spark Video, and so forth. So,
and I've heard that's a good product.
Yeah, very good. So, so with that, I don't have any other topics. Do you have anything?
No, let's jump into the tools.
Okay, so let's talk about tools. And every week we try to pick, you know, about 3 tools that we think are going to be very useful for you. So the first one is TES Teach. This is an app for putting together digital lessons in about 5 minutes. And I've got plenty of links for you here. So there's tool 1, and then there's a couple of options here. So you have a desktop option. Let's see. So you've got a desktop option. We have a iOS app, and we have a Google Chrome extension. And basically what they do is you can create a page, and you can just quickly go on and like curate all your information you need, put all your files directly into this page, and now you have essentially a digital lesson created in about 5 minutes.
Okay. So this is for teachers, more specifically for teachers or people doing trainings or that type of thing.
It is, but you essentially could do, you know, you can basically build your digital content in one place. Then you can use it to, you know, have learning goals, to make things basically interactive, and then have ways for you to monitor students, their progress, their quizzes, discussions, and so forth.
Cool.
Very cool tool. Like I said, you can join for free. There's some samples there you can click through, for example, if you want to check those out. And then that's pretty much the gist of it. And I'd say this, like you mentioned teachers, but everyone essentially is a teacher of some sort.
Sure.
And so that is something I would definitely check out.
Very cool.
Tool 2. And I'm gonna let you actually. You're gonna get tool number 2 and tool number 3, because I have not had a chance to play with either of these tools.
And I've only had microscopic chances to play with both, but Marco Polo is video walkie-talkie. Now, are you familiar with Voxer, Christian?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I feel like this is the video version of Voxer.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. You tap on a button and you start talking. It's like FaceTime messages, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta say, you and I do Messenger right now, but if, you know, I can essentially now record a video and send that to you as the message.
Okay.
Your friend listens and responds right away, or waits until it's convenient. And you keep on going and you get these just video messaging is all it is. It's what it seems to be to me, and it seems also a little redundant, because I think others are going to be doing this very soon.
That was actually my question.
If they're not already.
Do you think this is an app? You know, I guess I'd say probably this is an app that somebody, if you know, hasn't quite made its way to all these other platforms, but it might be something to experiment with. But I guess the bigger question is, you know, if I've got something like this, but then I've also got Messenger, or I could even just open my phone and record a quick video using the native video app. Do I need another app?
I don't think you do. They don't think you do. I think it's there's people talking about it. looks like there may be some fun little editing pieces, but you can do this on Snapchat as it is. Now you can only do a 10-second, or I think you can do up to 30-second video in Snapchat in the direct message now, but you can record it with, like you said, on the iPhone using the native app. It feels a little redundant to me, as is the next topic that we're going to have, the next tool.
So the next tool is, I'll intro it and I'll let you talk about it. So it's called
All right.
Pundit.
Yep.
Available right now for iOS. You know, and a growing trend, you're going to, you know, we've seen this trend happen a lot, and it actually got talked about on, I think, Tuesday this week, which is basically a lot of these apps are coming out to, you know, initially as iOS only apps.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's, you know, is that a monetization thing?
I'm not sure. I think that's an ease of use thing. I don't know if it's easier or if the market share for iOS is I don't know that. I feel like Androids have to be far more accessible to the general public. I would think the market there is bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an ease of building and an ease of getting one up and running. I'm assuming that Apple is just, there is easier way of developing, creating an app and getting it online as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that's an ease for it's easier for the developers.
Yeah, I mean,
I have not created an app myself, so I don't know that to be a fact.
So I actually had an app in the App Store, and I would say it's really great once the app is live, but it was quite a process to get there.
Okay.
But I would say my guess is, you know, people probably just are doing the iOS thing mainly because they're probably tapping into a certain audience. You know, a lot of people kind of use Android. They probably think, well, hey, like, I think this is kind of the way it's been. A lot of people have always thought, well, hey, Android's too complicated. iOS, you know, pretty straightforward. But that's why I think that people do that, or they're maybe monetizing with like in-app purchases or something.
Right.
So, what is Pundit? So let's talk.
Pundit is a social platform for voice experiences. This is how they describe it. On Pundit, you can start bite-sized talk shows on your favorite topics by recording yourself for up to 30 seconds and inviting your friends to participate.
Okay.
And you can make your voice pop with playful tools like filters, background music, and sound effects. They call it an insanely fun way to forge relationships, show your clever side, and sound amazing while you're at it. They were on the startup battlefield at TechCrunch Disrupt this week. Now, you may remember an app called Anchor, who's still around, but this seemed very similar to Anchor to me. And one of the questions that was posed by one of the venture capitalists on the stage at TechCrunch Disrupt is, why do we need this? And do we need another social media platform? And those of us in social media are probably feeling like, no, we don't need one unless it's really innovative. And to me, this does not seem particularly innovative, because it seems like we have Anchor already. Many of us tried it out, and many of us have abandoned it already. So is it fun? Would it be fun to create another talk show? And Nazim says he tired of Anchor. I agree. It was one of those I just wasn't going to put the time into. This one is just like you and I going back and forth on Messenger with audio messages. We could bring other people in and have an ongoing conversation. It just doesn't have to be public. I think this one happens to be public. Nothing that some of the bigger companies can't already institute, and that Anchor has already done. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. The reason this came to my attention was they were featured on the startup battlefield, so they had to get in there somehow. They must be doing something a little bit more, probably a little bit more innovative than maybe Anchor was doing. but I feel like it's already been done.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I think we talk about this a lot, actually. I don't really think that there's so much fragmentation. And I don't know if they're like just taking a stab at something, saying, "Hey, let's come out with this, and let's see if a social network wants to buy us, because we can easily get folded into their system, or another, an Apple or Samsung." I'm not really sure, but I just see this as a lot of like duplicate work. Like when you mention this, and I'm over there like checking out, for instance, the app itself, and one thing it reminds me of, it just reminds me of a podcast.
Yeah. It's bite-sized. It's like the Twitter of podcasts. It's micro podcasts.
Well, and actually, it's kind of interesting. I just want to mention this real quick, but I earlier this week, I put up a page on my blog, on my website, and essentially you could go there and, for instance, record some audio. Okay. And this Pundit app sort of reminds me of that as well. The ability to, in this case, like it's I'm recording audio one way, but in this case, it's I feel it's very similar, except the fact that like somebody can chime in versus having that one-way conversation.
Right. And are you finding what service are you using for that, or is that a plugin?
That is actually a plugin that I'm using. I'm actually using an app called SpeakPipe.
Okay. And I think something called Clamor exists. Now, I don't know that Clamor is talk show based, I think, but I think Clamor helps you take a bit of your podcast, a small bit of it, and post that to other social media. So you could do, if I said something really amazing and you wanted to go and share that on the Social Chef's website, which I encourage you to do when I say amazing things, you can take like a 30-second clip of it and post that. I think that's how Clamor works.
Yeah, you've got Clamor. Yeah, you've got I think it's 24 seconds or less. Yeah.
Okay.
So
this one is, what this reminds me of? This is, I thought Twitter, I thought micro podcasting rather than micro blogging. As remember, Twitter was originally called a micro podcast or micro blog. I thought this seemed more like a micro podcast.
Mm-hmm. I actually like the fact that you're calling that a micro podcast, just because I think podcasts are too long, and so I think by having a micro podcast, I think that's it's cool that there's an app potentially for something like that. I guess the one side that I would look at and say, well, hey, why do you really need this? Is the fact that I could just record a shorter podcast, instead of having, for instance, a specific like app to be able to do that. I mean, it's just really up to me to content,
Yeah, interesting. So when I termed it as a micro podcast, that messaging sold you more on the idea than what you originally thought.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, that and also then looking at the pictures that were there on the site, like looking at the app itself, because I think that the app has a lot of I see a lot of really useful, a lot of good ways to use this tool. For instance, it kind of reminds me even of for instance, I've got an audio transcription tool that I use, and they have an app specifically for being able to record something and submit it to them. And it's kind of the same way. Like you can record, 5 minutes. You can record, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. But basically, I see a lot of duplication across a lot of these apps.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of duplication, and we don't know what they do differently. If the coding is different, maybe that's why they think their app is superior to something that already exists. I don't know if that's what it is, or like you've mentioned numerous times in the past, are they trying to get bought out by somebody who's already doing it?
So, here's the only time we'll tell. I mean, I think that the idea of recording just audio, I think it's very useful. We're in a video phase. We're in a video phase right now. Everything is about video, live video.
Yep.
But I think you're still going to have the audio side of it, and the reason why is because audio is not going to go away. People are not going to be able to, for instance, watch your show while they're driving.
Right.
And so they're going to need, the micro podcast, or in this case, the audio tool.
Right.
So I think these.
This reminded me of Blab without the visual a little bit,
Mhm.
or Fire Talk without the visual. And the one aspect of Blab that was superior in that respect was that you could close the app and keep the audio going. So when I was driving, I didn't have to miss your show. I didn't have, those were, but this reminds me a lot of Fire Talk Huzza, just with audio only. And we are certainly in a video age right now.
And here's the thing, I would say keep this on the back burner. So if I'm a business, keep this on the back burner, invest in live video right now. And then eventually, you know what's going to happen. I mean, everything went from blogging to now it went to video. It's going to go to audio. And at least you'll be ready, I think, for that, to kind of like start to kind of think in your own business how you can go about using this. I realize you have podcasts, but these are micro pieces of content. Yeah.
And just like, I think we're in an audio and video stage, so I don't think audio is going anywhere. I think the two combined are going to have great value for the upcoming future. I think if anything's going to disappear, we've seen it with the I think text is slowly but surely disappearing. Not entirely, but when somebody's writing LMAO or LOL, or it's like, all right, well, the language is changing. So, and it's becoming more limited. And I think this will be, I think audio and visual, or audio and video are the future. The text will never disappear, but I think for marketing purposes, text is going to slow down the usage.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's the thing. Everybody's always saying, hey, do I need a blog? And the answer is like, yeah, you need a blog. You need a home base. What types of content, though, would you put on that? It used to be, yes, I would put a lot of written content, but nowadays that content can come in many different forms. It could be a podcast embedded into a blog post. It could be a video embedded into a blog post. It could just be a written post with some, visuals. There's lots of it. Here's the thing. There's no formula that says, hey, this is the exact recipe you need to follow. It really comes down to the content you're sharing and taking that content and, in a way, repurposing the content in a way that is, beneficial for your audience, because it's all about the relationships and your audience. So, by the way, I don't have any other tools for today. Do you have anything else?
I do not. I was just going to answer Nazim's, and then I really have to get back to some other stuff here. We went way over today.
Yes.
I don't think that the website will lose its value, Nazim, my own personal view, because you still have to have a home base. I think at the very least as a place to curate all your own content and find it easy so that you can go and share it easily. So maybe you'll have less visibility, less click-throughs to your website, but it's going to be a storage place for you at the very least, and a landing place for people to go if they're really into what you're doing. So I don't think that that's going away anytime soon.
And so I just want to say, I dropped a couple of links in here, but I completely agree with Nick here on the fact that, you have to have a place, people are going to, it's basically a storage locker, basically, it's all your stuff.
Yeah.
Could be a podcast, could be a video, could be a live video, could be a tweet, could be anything.
Could be all of them.
Yep.
But it's going to be your distribution hub.
Absolutely. So I want to say thanks a lot, everyone, for watching. Nazim, thanks for joining us today. We really
thank you.
Love the questions you guys asked. And just a couple of links here I put in. So one is the show's free, but next week we'll have a show, and you can go get your ticket now. We have about 500 tickets available. But make sure you get your ticket. And then if you want to get on the email list, just text Social Chatter to 33444. That'll get you on the list. I'll send you a weekly email with a recap, link to a recap post, and also let you know about some of the topics that Nick and I are going to discuss. So anything you want to say, Nick?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for coming, Nazim. Thank you, Christian, and I will talk to you later.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.